Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. I think we got some great guests lined up for you today. Earlier, we had the chance to talk to some folks, in particular, Ann Paulk. She is the director of the Restored Hope Network. And our conversation with her, I think you'll find to be pretty inspiring and encouraging. She explains how her organization helps gays convert and lead a Christian life. And she even responds to some of the articles that recently have been published as it relates to that subject. So join me now as we talk to Ann Paulk. Hi, Ann. How you doing today?
Hi. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Good. Great, great. Well, first of all, tell us about the network. What is it you do and how do you go about it?
Well, what is it? We're a coalition of 40-plus ministries, counselors, and pastors across the U.S. that help people who want to change or leave homosexuality. Some people do not wish to leave homosexuality, but we're here for those who do. And what we offer them is pastoral counseling. We have some who are professional licensed counselors. We have about 11 of those within our network. And they come at counseling from a Christian perspective. And
okay.
The process of leaving homosexuality.
Okay. Okay. I think we're having a little bit of a technical thing. I'm not. Are you there?
I am.
Okay,
I can
good.
Hear you.
All right. We'll kind of work with this. All right. Your own story is fascinating, and I think it certainly lends to what you do. Give us a little bit of an overview of your life story.
Well, I ended up dealing with homosexual feelings when I was a teenager and even prior to that. In college, I embraced a lesbian identity and threw God out as something that inhibited me following that path. I didn't know it was actually a person, and God himself existed. So it was just so far from me a concept. I'd gone to church, but it was very liberal churches where they taught moral stories. So I hadn't actually encountered the one who wrote the Bible until my first year in college. I began having dreams about Jesus. And from there, I began to have, I called out to him and I had answers. And things kept happening, and miraculous things. And eventually, my sophomore year, beginning of my sophomore year, I surrendered my life to Jesus Christ for the first time ever, and felt the Holy Spirit was just so profound and beautiful. It felt like he plugged me in to the life I had been missing. Honestly, it felt like a kitchen appliance that you took the plug from and you plug it into the wall, and all of a sudden it becomes, alive. It becomes useful, right? Well, that's how I felt. And from there, God began to nurture me, love me, and teach me how to have healthy female friendships, not homosexual friendships. So, or relationships, you should put it that way. I should put it that way. So, what I came to realize is that being molested when I was younger really did set a course for my life in making wrong assumptions and vows about it being dangerous to be a girl. And that later on in puberty made perfect sense that I'd be drawn to girls because I was missing that piece in my life. So anyway, I've learned a lot and I've come a long way, and God has blessed me with 3 sons and having been married for 21 years. Unfortunately, my husband went back into the lifestyle after 21 years. So that's a sad point in my life, and yet I know that God changes lives, and I know that he will not give up on anyone who is fully committed to him, that he is able to and willing to love and nurture someone out of homosexuality. Not a problem for him at all. So
this topic, Ann, is huge, and I am so glad that you deal with it the way you do. And you're a living example of something I've said so often: whatever God saves you from or brings you through, he turns you around and makes you a minister to. And I just don't think the church, we Christians, know what to do here. We talk about it. We say, well, we love the sinner, but we hate the sin. Most who are caught in this lifestyle could probably quote the scriptures better than we can, but they're not getting from us a way out, a loving acceptance in knowing that nobody is transformed overnight. It takes a while. What are we doing wrong with this?
Well, I think we're doing one of two things wrong generally in the church. One is we pretend it's not an issue. And I don't believe that's possible anymore, but there are still places in the U.S. that pastors think there's no one in their congregation dealing with those attractions. I find it hard to believe, because every time we ask somebody, or we go to a congregation and we speak, we ask how many of you are impacted by someone you love, your own struggles, your neighbors, your coworkers, your whatever, with homosexuality, and all the hands are raised. I mean, all of them. So I think it's a misunderstanding that it's a topic that isn't something we have to address. It is a topic we have to address, and it is going to cascade over the church like a tidal wave if we don't face it. Now, on the other hand, it's possible to face the topic and not do so in a redemptive manner, and so see it as an issue only. It is politically an issue, no question. I mean, look at all the legal situations going on around the U.S. right now, but God is over and above. He rules over every nation, and his law supersedes it and will be the underpinnings for all of eternity. And so what we have to understand is nations can get it wrong, but God always has it right, always has it right. And his word is profound. In 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 11, there's some amazing things written in Scripture. And it says, "Do not be deceived, my brethren. These individuals will not inherit the kingdom of God." Amongst that is mentioned homosexuality, among another fine list of serious sins. Adultery, slander, fornication, you name it, it's all in there. We all fit somewhere in that list. But at the end of it, it says, "Such were some of you, but you were washed, but you were sanctified, but you were cleansed by the Spirit of our God. In the name of Jesus, we are cleansed." Even Paul knew people who had left homosexuality.
Unbelievable. Does the homosexual see the church as homophobic?
Yes, and that's because the churches don't embrace homosexuality. The only thing they'll be satisfied with is if a church embraces homosexuality as a non-issue.
Right.
And so what are we caving to? Are we going to do the proper thing, or are we going to cave into the culture? There are two options for us. We can condemn. That's one, I guess. That's not a good option. We can do what the culture says, which is embrace homosexuality. And if you're not embracing homosexuality, you're not embracing me. Therefore, you're condemning judgmental, bigoted haters, etc. Or we can give God's prescription, which is, I'm going to love the sinner, but I'm going to point out sin so that the Spirit of God can redeem individuals from sin. And that's the whole point. God is holy. God is holy. And we can't avoid that. And he knows how to redeem sinners from sin, including homosexuality.
It's been said that we'll never know what redemption or grace really is until we point out sin.
I would have to agree. It's a narrow way to enter the kingdom of heaven. All of the apostles had times in their life, and I love Peter because he's a great example of, either falling down on his knees after catching this huge horde of fish and saying, "Go away from me, Lord, I'm a sinful man." It's at that point he recognized his inability to grasp the person who was right in front of him, and that God was holy and had all the answers and the provision. And Peter was small and lowly. He got himself into the proper perspective. And what did Jesus do? He said, "No, I'm going to make you fishers of men." So he raises up those who are bowed down, and he will humble those who are prideful. And so God is wonderful, and there's a place for humility, and admitting our sin is a profound place of humility. God lifts up those who are bowed down. He raises their eyes.
And how powerful is this? I mean, you were caught in it. I've heard it's one. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just extremely powerful, and it's gripping in everything that you think and do. We know that God obviously can restore that and break that, but how powerful is it?
Well, people come to believe that they are primarily gay, which is a wrong thinking. And so everything is turned upside down. So as the Spirit of God begins to work on a life, God begins to realign a person with truth. And that's where the power of Scripture is particularly profound. Everything we have to make a difference in someone's life is found in Scripture. Mm-hmm. And the one who administrates that is the Spirit of God. And honestly, the message we have is we don't have to save people. God already does that. All we have to do is hold out hope and truth. And we need to embrace, women are just misaligned with their understanding of femininity being a good thing. Men are the same. Masculinity is seen as a bad thing, even though they're trying to obtain it through sexual means. They're trying to conquer it, you see. It's not being just another one of, but how can I gain my masculinity through conquering another guy? And it just doesn't work. So what we know is sin will never accomplish the longings of the heart. We know that. Drugs, alcohol, smoking, it's all difficult to leave. Every single one of those things.
All right, let me take a quick break here, and we'll be right back with Ann Paulk. She's the Executive Director of Restored Hope Network, and you can go to restoredhopenetwork.com. That's our website. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Okay, we're back, and our special guest today is Ann Paulk. She's the Executive Director of the Restored Hope Network, a coalition of ministries that work together in offering hope and healing to those caught in the homosexual lifestyle. Her own story is fascinating, and her ministry is very impacting. And their website is restoredhopenetwork.com. Okay, Ann, recently, as you well know, Newsweek came out with a pretty blasting article on what is called reparative therapy. Your response to that?
Well, my response is if they're going to prohibit talk therapy for any particular topic, any particular desire, then they're really off the mark. As far as what we advocate talk therapy, which had been misinterpreted as some kind of ice baths and electroshock. I mean, literally came out of the Stone Age with some of these accusations in legislatures around the country. Wow. But were they identified as such during the Newsweek article? No. Newsweek focused on 3 weeks of fact gathering, information gathering from sources that were pro-gay, and only 1 week even asking for our input. So I think their bias was very clear. Yeah. But basically, we advocate that anyone should be able to work through issues that they find troubling in their lives. And if they want to seek a Christian therapist or a licensed counselor for those that kind of help, that we're for advocating for that. It is self-determination, which is a basic understanding within the mental health community. If someone comes presenting an issue they want help with, that it was the counselor's role to help them in that endeavor. It's client-based requests. So I want to let the people know that this summer we have a very special conference coming up here in the Portland, Oregon area. Restored Hope Network's Hope 2014. We put on an annual conference, and it has Dr. Larry Crabb as our keynote, and Dr. Joseph Nicolosi, along with Dr. Sandy and Earl Wilson.
Wow.
And then we have 24 additional workshops, ministry time, worship done by Georgine and Dan Rice, who are fabulous. And Georgine's a talk show host up here in Portland, Oregon with Salem Radio Network. Mm-hmm. So that's going on. Also,
when is that? When is that, Ann?
July 27th and 28th.
Is that that's on your website, right?
It is. It's the first picture you'll see on the website, the one with the hands, the blue and green.
Okay.
If you click that, it will take you to all the related information.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. Also, in case anybody is struggling, who's a woman who's struggling with homosexuality, I wrote a book particularly helping with that, Restoring Sexual Identity, Hope for Women Who Struggle with Same-Sex Attraction. And that is basically the how-tos with much greater detail than we can get into here, obviously. Okay. So, yeah, there's a bunch of other resources on the website.
Given the climate of this, and it seems that, quite frankly, the homosexual community is winning across the board with acceptance and laws and everything else, and you know all the things we're talking about. Is it possible that your organization could be brought up under hate crimes?
Well, you know, right now, I don't think that the hate crimes legislation, did it pass? I can't remember. There was a huge battle over that. They did hold back part of the legislation. It's possible in the future, yeah, because in Canada, if you even read Leviticus or 1 Corinthians 6:9-11 about the hope of Christ to redeem sinners, right, and it mentions homosexuality, you can be put in jail. Yeah. You could be extradited from the country. So, yeah, that's a possibility. But you know what? Knowing what I know, I would be remiss not to offer it. And I feel like now's the time to stand on the truth of Jesus Christ, that he still changes lives, even in the area of homosexuality. I think that message is too profound, and I feel God's good, kind will supporting us as we proclaim this. I don't know what will come, but I will stand in the gap for those who are seeking help. And wonderful. So that's where we're at.
That's wonderful. All right. Now, let's go back to what draws people into this. Some will say, well, I was born that way. They're trying to get scientists to say, yeah, there's some genetic potential here. You know the drill. And what I have learned in doing so many interviews on this, it appears, maybe even your own story, something traumatic happened in your life. There was an abuse, or there was a lack of relationship with a parent that leads someone to go this direction. What's your thinking on all that?
Well, in my own personal life, there was a traumatic event. I was molested at the age of 4. And that, in my mind, I thought of being a girl, being feminine, as putting myself at risk. And so throwing that off later set me up for same-sex attraction struggles. It really did. For some, that's fairly common. In fact, I did a non-scientific survey of 265 women leaving the lifestyle in 2000. They literally filled out an 8-page single-space survey because this group of people had never been surveyed before. And they opened up their hearts and souls, and what I got out of that data was that 91% of the individuals had incurred some kind of childhood abuse. 7 out of 10 had had a sexual abuse situation happen in their childhood. And that's way above any other percentage. And that's for women, particularly. Dr. Stanton Jones, former provost of Wheaton College, wrote that the likelihood of a boy entering a gay identity or gay life was 3 times as high if he had had sexual abuse in his childhood, or a sexual adult encounter with a child in his youth. Oftentimes, of course, men are the perpetrators of that sort of thing, whether they typically present as homosexual or heterosexual. They may have pedophilic attractions, and when they do that, they damage someone's life. And the damage may come out in all sorts of different ways, depending upon what the needs and the thoughts of the child are at the time. And so, yeah, there are those. As far as the genetic basis, there is no gay gene. Even the APA acknowledges that, which is a very liberal organization, the American Psychiatric Association. Dean Hamer, Dr. Dean Hamer, he did the brain or the X chromosome study on the cadaver brains. Honestly, he admitted 10 years later, after it had been announced on Oprah, honestly, in 1992. In 2002, he admitted in the Gay Advocate, it was the title of the entire gay publication, "There is no gay gene," and Dr. Dean Hamer admitted that, and he's a gay researcher himself. So bottom line is there's a lot of biased reporting, particularly Newsweek that just came out with 2 articles. What you find are that most of the researchers that claim a scientific basis of homosexuality, a genetic basis, are actually gay researchers, or they're gay reporters or gay experts that say no one can change. Well, they don't want to change, so why should we take their point of view in saying that a person can't change? They haven't even tried. They haven't even wanted to.
Is it an addiction?
I believe there are addictive qualities to homosexuality, just as there are to any other sexual problem. There are porn addictions sometimes and sexual addictions. Sometimes men end up having anonymous encounters, and that's obviously sexual addiction. And so there's an emotional addiction aspect, attempting to glean from someone else the core need of a human being, as if they contain the answer. So what Dr. Elizabeth Moberly said in her Homosexuality, New Christian Ethic book that was brilliant about 30, 40 years ago, was that it's in essence a cannibalistic compulsion. It's you admire someone who appears to be a better version of yourself, and you attempt to gain the qualities by having that intimate relationship with the other person, instead of actually gaining the qualities of yourself. And so that itself is, there's some subtleties to all of this, but the point is develop yourself. Become the woman that you want yourself to be. Become the man that you want to be. Don't try and gain it by having sex with someone else.
Let me just say to our viewers and listeners again, restoredhopenetwork.com is Ann's website. Check out, because they're going to have the conference in July up in Portland. You may want to attend this. One other question, then I want you to plug your book again, and that is this. Deep down in the heart of somebody that's caught in this lifestyle, whether they've had any exposure to the gospel or not, do they believe that something is wrong?
I believe there is even truth showing through Newsweek's article. People who are not even Christians, who are really against Christianity, there's a strong reaction against anyone saying it's possible to leave homosexuality. So it shows an internal conflict, honestly. And I believe that there is an internal conflict, that nobody sees gay as being particularly good. It's something that seems to meet the deeper underlying need of connection and intimacy and worth and well-being, but it doesn't fulfill on its promise. And that is the very nature of homosexuality. But again, for women who are dealing with homosexuality or same-sex attraction, you can grab this book, Restoring Sexual Identity, by Ann Paulk, that's me, of course, through Amazon.com is where you can grab it. It's published through Harvest House, which I'm grateful to partner with them. But, there's so much hope for an individual who surrenders to Jesus Christ. There's always hope. Now, can we force someone to change? No. Should we? No. A person ought to want to obey Christ with their lives. And in that perfect scenario is where you see God ministering to the deepest parts of a person's life. No one can force anybody to drink water, mind you, change from homosexuality, And so bottom line is the personal will, the desire is vital and very important. But where people do surrender in that area is we find tremendous hope and healing and expectation of God. and newness of life and renewed relationships and better understanding of who God made them to be. And it wasn't to be homosexual. You were made to be a woman or a man in the image of Christ and to be refined into a more and more reflective image. And that is the purpose for all of us, to have intimate relationship with the one who created us and who knows how to remake us into his image. And that's the pathway every Christian is on.
Yeah. And you are an inspiration and delight. Let's stay in touch and maybe visit again before your conference in July, and keep up the good work. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, you can go to Ann's website, restoredhopenetwork.com, check out her book, and also check out the conference coming up in the Portland area in July. Her book is also available at Amazon.com. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And let's get together again soon, okay?
Lord bless you.
All right, fascinating to say, Lisa. And we will have Ann back with us several more times here this year. I'm looking forward to talking to her. Well, here's two words that shouldn't go together: kids and cancer, but they do. And we're going to talk about it coming up next.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Welcome back. Delighted to have with us today Emmanuel Munoz. He is the Executive Director of Gamerosity. What is Gamerosity? It's a nonprofit organization benefiting children and in particular cancer patients. And I asked a question, should these two words go together, kids and cancer? And the answer is no, but the reality is it happens. And Manny, thanks for being with us today. I'm just fascinating. I got your website up in front of me, Bringing Joy to Kids with Cancer. But behind all of this, there's usually a story that starts it. It's your own, right? What happened to you?
Well, every day 36 kids are diagnosed with cancer, and 15 years ago I was one of those kids. And I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma when I was 15, and yeah, I went through it. Sat in the bed, had the chemo, lost my hair, felt crummy, the whole nine. I was there.
Oh, wow. And so what made you come back to it? I mean, you probably want to put that chapter behind you. But
yeah, that was the goal, was to move on from it. And it seemed, it just kept on coming back. And one day we just kind of decided to give back, and we found a 15-year-old boy named Michael Bruin out of Ashland, and we gave him an Xbox 360, and I think that spurred some change. The Lord was stirring some stuff in my heart, and kind of went from there.
Wow. And so, Gamerosity, explain the name.
Gamerosity is a combination of the word games and generosity, and the platform is set up to where you crowdfund or cause apparel, you purchase items, you make donations specifically for a child that you choose. Our hero wall is filled with children that are fighting the fight. You can choose a child to support and support their campaign. When their campaign gets funded, we send them what we call a Gamerosity Hero Package. The rock star of the package is an Apple iPad mini, $100 iTunes gift card, shock absorbent case, because if you have kids, you know that you need shock absorbent everything.
Right.
We give them a cape and a hat. We give them a beanie, a special shirt that has a cape printed on the back. And wow. We have a partnership with DC Comics, who gives us some comic books to support them. And we just basically send them a gigantic package of love to let them know that they're cared for and they're worth it.
Wow. That is wonderful. Let me skip ahead and come back. How do people support you? They go to Gamerosity.com?
Yes.
If they want to get involved in this, you can take donations there?
Yes, and our key word is empowerment. And what we mean by that is we're not only empowering these children to be themselves, but we're empowering a community. And you get to choose your child. So when you give to Gamerosity, you're not giving in hopes that it supports a child that you like. You could actually choose the child you want to support. If you hear about your neighbor or a community kid or someone who had a cancer that you had, you could actually type that in, find a child, connect with them, get their overview. If they have a Facebook page, you can connect with them through that. Wow. And then you donate directly, and then you'll see the goal meter move towards your contribution, whatever it is you support.
That's wonderful. All right, I asked you the question before we went on the air, and you respond like most do, and I said, "Is cancer epidemic?" You know, it just seems to be so much out there.
Well, cancer is the #1 disease killer of children nationwide, and we don't treat it like that. It feels like such a common thing because with adult cancers, it's normally environmentally caused. Mm-hmm. But with childhood cancers, it's largely unknown how kids get cancer. So it should be considered an epidemic. We don't know how. And like I said, over 36 kids every day are diagnosed with cancer.
All right. So when you had it, did you understand what you had? Did you process it as a child, or is it you were a teenager?
I was I was 15 years old, and the initial response was, well, what are you going to do? And I was fine until I found out it was stage 4. Then I lost it. You know, I was terrified. You know, when the percentages drop, you know, you get scared. And actually, my uncle gave me Proverbs 3:5-8 as a verse to read, and I read it. And I think at that moment, I just kind of took it as it came, you know, and tried to stay positive and went through each day and figured I'll just trust in the Lord today. I'll trust in Him today, and then deal with the consequences after.
When you were in the middle of that, what did you long for the most? I mean, obviously healing, but was there anything else that you were looking for?
I always say that the most painful part of cancer treatment is feeling left out. You have a lot of days where your friends are going on with their day or are doing things, and you're kind of home recovering from treatment or in the hospital, you know, recovering from an infection or all the stuff that comes with it. And so you felt lonely a lot of times, and so you try to bridge those gaps as best as possible.
All right, this is called Gamerosity, and this is what Manny does. He heads this up, and they benefit children who have cancer with a packet. And I guess that's what you got there. Is kind of, oh no, that's an event you got coming up. I want you to talk about that in just a second. How big is this issue in Southern Oregon?
Currently, we have at least 13 kiddos that are going through treatment right now actively. We've lost a couple in the last year, and that's been really tough. But the numbers are growing, unfortunately.
Yeah, you and I discussed a loss of a mutual friend here just recently, and I walked with that family through that. It's just, I don't know. It's hard. It's just the only thing I can say. It's hard. Your faith goes on a roller coaster, doesn't it?
It does. We always say that we got to keep moving forward, you know, and you kind of wear those scars, and you understand that God has you here, and you push through it, and you tell yourself that you know what matters is what you do, and not you know what you doubt or how you hurt from it. You just keep pushing forward, and you love first.
It took cancer to put you on your career path.
Yeah, it really did. We kind of joke about it that it's almost come to define me, but that's sort of how God uses things. And you just sort of, you either embrace it or you reject it, and we choose to embrace that. What is
now? This is September is Child Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
And you have your second annual Game On Day. What's that?
So we've created a community event. We focus on awareness. That's the #1 goal, is to not just educate our community, but to offer opportunities for them to play a role within that. And so we're partnering with other organizations that are going to be coming along with. They're going to have a booth. So there's going to be lots of opportunities for whoever comes to see how they could get involved. It's not necessarily always money, but your involvement, your care, your time, talents, and treasures are always going to play a difference. The Game On Day is a free community event. It's on September 20th. We're going to have inflatables, games, life-size games, crafts, live DJ. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Where?
U.S. Cellular Fields. It's going to be, I think it's field 20. It's the soccer field that's detached in the parking lot.
Okay. And that'll be coming up on the 20th. Just show up?
Show up, rain or shine, from 1 to 5.
That's wonderful. Now, do you need more sponsors for these packets?
We absolutely do. We have kids that have been on campaign for over a year. We always try to get them taken care of. It's a long time for a kid to be on campaign. There's always a need. We have so many things we want to do with the organization, but the boots on the ground stuff, it obviously needs support.
Now, what's a packet cost?
It costs us about $600 to raise a package.
And again, what's in it?
We have an Apple iPad mini, the
Okay.
16 gig Wi-Fi one, a $100 iTunes gift card, shock resistant case, screen protector case on it. We give them a hero cape, Gamerosity stuffy, which is a stuffed animal of our logo that's handmade, a crocheted beanie and a hat. If you've never been through chemotherapy treatment, you don't understand how important being able to cover your head is. Bracelets, a survivor strap. We give them crafts. We have coloring books that we're adding to it. A washable coloring pillowcase is coming soon. A stack of comic books. I mean, it's just chock full of stuff. A special Gamerosity t-shirt that says Little Hero on it. On the back it has a cape. So we have a bunch of stuff on it, and the whole idea is not to just engage in one aspect, but the whole process of the experience of chemotherapy treatment is what
I would
we're part
imagine
of.
the families really appreciate this too.
It makes a huge difference. Sometimes it seems a little bit extravagant, even the $100 iTunes gift card, but if you're a family going through treatment, if you're in Medford and you're going through treatment, chances are you got to go to Dornbecker. So you're driving 4.5 hours each way, and if you don't have support for gas, you have takeout food, you have lodging, there's a lot of expenses that insurance doesn't cover. And so for us to provide a package where if the child says, hey, I want to download Lego Movie, the parent could say yeah, because they have a $100 iTunes gift card. We're not going to strap the parents for having to pay $15 for a movie. We'll take care of that for them.
Well, if you're interested in being a part of this, and what an outstanding idea. This is just wonderful. You can go to Gamerosity. It's just spelled GAMEROSITY.com. and support Manny and what he's doing. And let me encourage you, if you can, if the Lord leads you to maybe buy a packet or a couple of packets, they'll be strategically placed with children. And unless you've been there, this is a tough one to go through. And you were stage 4. You're 15 years past that now.
September 5th will be 15 years.
15 years. Now, are you considered in remission?
Yeah, okay. Survivor.
A survivor. And stage 4, that's not the number you want to hear, right?
No, there is no stage 5.
There is no stage 5. And so it's quite a process. And I just, I've been with families whose children have been in the middle of this, and you almost feel hopeless. What do you do? And here's something you can do.
Yeah, it's a very tangible way to be a part of a child's life.
Manny, this is wonderful. What do you think the Lord's going to do with this? Where do you see this going?
You know, I've gotten to the point where I've put my hands in the air and said, all right, Lord, whatever you do, nothing surprises me anymore. We've received grants, we've received private donations, we've seen families, we've created relationships with families that we never thought we'd ever have, So we get to the point where, if someone says go here, I say, okay, we just do it. We'll do whatever God has. We have hopes for the future for apps that are more immersive into their experience. We want to gamify the experience a lot more. If they're there, they're there. There's nothing we can do about it. But what we can do is help with their day-to-day process.
Well, thank you for coming in. I want to say thank you for obeying the voice of God in your life, which probably something you didn't expect to be doing.
No, not for a second.
And your constant reminder, whatever God brings you through, minister makes you turn around, makes you a minister too.
Yeah, no kidding.
And save you from, and that's what's happened to you. All right, it's called Gamerosity.com, GAMEROSITY.com. You can go there. I'm on the website here. It's a beautiful website. And if you feel led to buy a package or a couple of packages, or maybe you could team up with some other family members and buy a package, whatever the Lord leads you to do, they're going to take that and place it in the hands of a child who's dealing with cancer and encourage them through. Thank you, my friend. Blessings.
Thank you.
Stay in touch, will you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
See you on the 20th, huh? You gonna come out?
I think I'm going to try to be there for that one.
Fun for all ages.
All right, it's at the Cellular Field from 1 to 5?
Yes, rain or shine.
On the 20th of September.
Yes, sir.
Be there. All right? We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Welcome back. I wanted to take a few moments before we run out of time today to just give you a little bit of a ministry update here at the Dove and where we are and where we're going. We have been broadcasting now well over a week from our new facility, and it has been wonderful. It's been quite the challenge to get here, I will say that, and as many of you know who've come by to help us with various projects. And we're a long ways from being totally settled, but we are broadcasting from our new facility, and after 30 years of renting, the Dove was provided an opportunity to own its own building, and it's been wonderful. It's at 2070 Milligan Way. It's out at the airport, and in fact, literally broadcasting from a Learjet hangar that we've converted into a television studio. So those watching on the Dove TV will see a little bit of a video here of some of the things that's going on here. And I just want to say thank you, first of all, for your patience. We still have some technical adjustments to do, both on radio and television, and hopefully they will be completed early this week, maybe even today. And once we get that straightened out, it's just been a little bit more challenging than we thought. Even though you plan well for these things, you get obstacles that you weren't looking for or didn't think about or whatever, and they kind of pop up and they kind of set you back a little bit. So it's been technically pretty challenging to get it all work, but it is working for the most part, and we're delighted. And we still have a lot of work to do. Behind me is an empty set. We have bits and pieces of a set in the making, where we have some walls that have been framed with some metal framing, and others that are still having work to be done on it. And so hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll get that done, and we'll keep you posted. But I also wanted to let you know, coming up September 23rd, here we are in September already, so only a couple of weeks away, we are going to have our annual fall Share-a-thon. Now this is where we ask you to prayerfully consider continuing your support of the Dove. So many of you support us on a monthly basis, some on an annual basis, whatever the Lord leads you to do. But we ask for you to let us know what you're feeling led of the Lord to do. And the reason for that is so that we can do our proper budgeting as well. And I can tell you this, that all the reserves that we had stored up to get moved in here pretty much have been used up. It was a little bit more expensive than we thought. Well, I think, as you know, if you've done any kind of moving or remodeling, things happen. And that's what happened here. We had a lot of things that just were a little bit more expensive than we thought would be the case. The last thing that we have to do is literally build a wall around the television studio. We hoped that we would have had the funds to do that, but we had to use all of that just to get in and get set up. So coming up September 23rd, our annual Fall Share-a-thon, again, where we ask you to prayerfully consider continuing your support of the Dove, and then to help us build, we got to build 2 big walls. This is no easy task. From floor to ceiling in this building is about 26 feet. And by the time we put doors and windows and insulation and soundproof it is a very, very big project. So in the next week or so, you'll be getting a mailer, and we're just asking you to pray about what the Lord would have you do to help us. And if the Lord is leading you to continue to support us for another year, thank you for that. About 86% of the Dove's support and revenue comes from viewers and listeners just like you, who believe in the mission of the Dove through Christian media to reach as many people as we can with the gospel. And so that's how it happens. It's as simple as that. There is a few dollars that we have come in from program sharing. Some of the programs you see on television or hear on the radio, sometimes those programmers will share revenue with us, depending on how the response is to their programs. And we do have some advertisement that's available on television only. We can't do it on radio legally. So a vast majority, over 86% of our budget is made up from viewers and listeners just like you. And I've only asked 2 things when you support the Dove. Number one, and most importantly, that the Lord is leading you to do it. Number 2, that it's a joy for you to do it. And don't take from your church, and certainly don't take from any other ministry that the Lord has you involved in. That's where your support goes first. But if you feel led and you like the mission and the impact that the Dove is having on so many people, not only in our own backyard, but literally around the world now because of the internet and cable vision and other things that are going on, then we ask you to prayerfully consider supporting the Dove and help us build the wall. It's a big project. We have to enclose this because right now when we're broadcasting in the middle of everything. And while we're live on the air, not too much work can go on around us because of the noise. But once we get the walls built, that all gets under control. And we need your help to do that. So be looking for a letter probably sometime around the end of this week, and it'll explain it all. If you feel led to support us in any of those projects, you can always go to the Dove website at theDove.us. And by the way, that's totally secure and it's safe and simple. We don't share that information with anybody, so it's totally secure if it's easier for you to support the Dove by going to theDove.us. But again, thank you for your patience. It's been quite challenging, put it that way, to get here, but we are delighted to be here. And I would say we're pretty much complete in getting up operationally. A few more technical things that we'll be working on in the next couple of days to get those straightened out. But overall, this has just been a real delight and pretty exciting. And what it affords us to do in the future is to now start producing more programs that can air on the Dove radio and television network, and even programs that can be aired on other television networks. That's part of our dream, and we feel like the mission that God's called us to do. So this room here that we hope to enclose with these walls will be able to create more sets off to my left here to produce more shows, and we're looking forward to that. So again, thank you. Look for the mailer and be praying about it. And it's your monthly support that really makes the difference here. There's just no way we can be on the air and do what we do without your faithfulness. And again, make sure it's the Lord leading you to support the Dove, and it's a joy for you to support the Dove. And please, if you're involved in another ministry, you support them first. Certainly don't take from your church. But if you're involved in, and there's so many great ministries that we feel that part of our mission here at the Dove is to help other ministries get their mission told and their story told, and to get their news out. We just had their Gamerosity, a ministry now that is ministering to children with cancer. We're passionate about that. We like helping the Pregnancy Center and Youth for Christ and Hearts with the Mission, and the list goes on and on and on. Salvation Army and others. We just feel that that's part of our mission, to come alongside those ministries and to help them as well. So thank you for whatever the Lord's leading you to do. Again, you can go right there to theDove.us, and you'll see right at the top of the screen there's a little button that says Help Build the Wall. And if we can get these walls built, that'll be a huge thing this year to get us settled down. And we'll be giving you some more picture surroundings here in the very near future. And once this is all done, we're looking forward to it. Once it's all done and settled and done, then we will we'll have an open house and let you all come in and see it. But right now that's here we go. Right now that's a little bit of a technical challenge for us to do that, and so we have some safety issues too that we have to take care of. So again, thank you. Take time to pray about it. Make sure it's the Lord leading you to do that, and just go to theDove.us, or in the next week or so, be looking for a mailer, and there'll be an envelope in there or a little card. We're asking you, when you do get that card, would you take a few moments and fill it out and send it back? Okay, thanks. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim and I work at the Dove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us.